GameCast Continuum.
Welcome, everybody, to a GameCast Continuum. Thank you so much for tuning in live here on Mixer, watching us on YouTube, or even listening on Podbean or iTunes. You can have the audio versions over there. We are your hosts. I'm MrBojangles 1984.
And Drakedangerson.
And Drakedangerson, yes, indeed. If you guys are used to the show, you're probably expecting DCskaterShane to be with us also. He had to take some time off for a while. He's got some personal things going on. He's going to be moving soon, so his time is pretty limited right now. We do miss him, very much so. You can still reach him at DCskaterShane on Twitter, so let him know that you miss him as well. But anyway,
some warm wishes.
Yes, we wish him well with everything that he's going through right now. But here at GameCast Continuum, we typically select some of the greatest games from past and present, go over their history in detail. But before we get into all of that, we do have to take care of some housekeeping. As you know, we do this podcast live on Sunday nights, usually at 8:30, but we're starting a little bit earlier because it's a long show. But you can catch it over at mixer.com/GameCastContinuum. But the best way to keep up to date with everybody on the show and the show itself, it would be to follow us on Twitter at GCContinuum. We'll tweet out any schedule changes, when the episodes are about to go live, like I just did a little while ago. So it's just a good way to keep in touch with us and send some feedback via Twitter as well.
Also beer. You can send us beer.
Yeah, beer. Beer is very welcome as well. But instead of doing random generated games, we've been covering Destiny. We started GCC Presents From Darkness to Light, the evolution of Destiny, a few weeks back. You know, we covered the vanilla, we did the Dark Below and House of Wolves. Well, this week it's all about the Taken King.
Yes.
And the subsequent events that came as part of year 2 as well. But mainly about Taken King.
Yeah. This is basically where I began playing, which
really
I couldn't pick a better time to really start. I mean, I started 2 months before it, but you know, I didn't really get into most of the stuff until like this expansion, which I kind of wish everybody had done that because I think they would have had a better experience.
For sure.
Less salt usually makes for a better gaming experience.
Yes, indeed. I mean, there were a lot of learning curves that Bungie had to work through when the base game came out in the first 2 DLCs.
Definitely.
You know, we've touched on that in the other episodes, so feel free to go back and listen or watch those. It's great. They are a little on the longer side because there's a lot of information to cover in Destiny because of the type of game that it is and all the lore that's built within. But we do a deep dive, but we don't go that far. But as far as the information we're covering today about the Taken King, when that came out, it was September 15th of 2015, so a little over a year from when the base game came out.
Yeah, I called in sick that day.
A few of my friends called in sick because they wanted to play it nonstop. That's what Destiny does to the gaming community. I found there's a lot of stories that you'll see about people taking time off work. People were upset because they took time off work for the release of Destiny 2, and then they moved it up a couple of days. Well, you called out too early, you know? Whatever. But with the Taken King, it did require that you had the previous 2 expansions, of course. I mean, that's how they continue to build upon the game. They expect you to have everything that came before it as well, and then they just put the building blocks on top of it. So you did need the Dark Below and House of Wolves. And it was a $40 expansion as well. Excuse me. Whereas, Dark Below and House of Wolves, they were, $10, $20 a piece?
Yeah, I think they might have been $20 a piece, but they were also like part of a season pass. So I forget how much that was. I think we covered it in the first or second episode. But yeah, you can do the season pass with them, and you got them both automatically. Which is coming around the bend again with Destiny 2, but this isn't a Destiny 2 podcast.
No. Yeah, according to the information that we gathered in our research, it looks like that the $40 price tag for the Taken King was actually the same as the cost of the season pass for the original launch of the game. So $20 a piece if you bought them separately, I guess, or together.
I would say this one's basically the Dark Below and House of Wolves put together and on steroids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why this episode is going to be a little bit longer, probably, than the first one we did, believe it or
Yeah.
not. Which is also why we started an hour earlier, because we don't go too far into the lore, but we want to at least cover as much of the information as possible. So, in order to do that and not have this podcast go until 12 midnight or even 11 p.m., we figured we'd get a jump start on it. So let me stop with the filler talk here. With the Taken King, you had the Legendary Edition, excuse me, which gave you a little bit extra as just on top of the expansion itself. But the people that were new to Destiny. Oh, no, sorry. That was the one that included everything. The Legendary Edition had the base game, Dark Below, House of Wolves, and came with Taken King for only $60.
So it was a whole game, really.
Yeah, it was just
the
like a
price of a game.
If it was essentially at the time before I thought that Bungie would even put a number at the end of Destiny itself, I thought this was going to be the Destiny 2 release.
Yeah.
So $60, you get a brand new game, you get everything that came before it, you're good to go right out the gate. But on top of that, this is what I was referencing to was the collector's edition, and that was on sale for $80. Besides getting everything in the Legendary Edition, you got a steelbook case for the game itself. They gave you a weapons pack, 3 class-specific emotes. They had class-specific shaders, which I guess are now available in all classes, and 3 exotic class items. And those gave you bonus XP toward the new subclasses, which we will cover here shortly. But on top of that, also, you got Cade 6's Intel Cache. It had a notebook as well as an actual strange coin replica, which is really cool.
I like that collector stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the physical copy of Destiny, the base game. Like, I got the digital Guardian edition. So when the Taken King was coming out, I pre-ordered it digitally. Well, come to find out, after I did the pre-order, that didn't include all of this extra stuff. Like, the digital Legendary Edition didn't exist at first. The community got a little upset, and then Bungie made it so you could pay, I think it was $20 more, and then you got the emblems, the shaders, the class items, and the emotes as well.
Yeah.
So
Who says they weren't receptive? Jeez.
Yeah. They listened and they made it available to us, so
Well, we'll come to Bungie later. About the whole listening thing. Well, leading into Taken King, we officially came into year 2 of Destiny, which is the last time Destiny was based in a year.
Yeah, for one reason or another.
Yeah, for one reason or another. I don't think they wanted to be like, in that whole box of a year thing. But it also prevents them from doing a thing every year. Some of the changes that came with year 2, they raised the level up to 40 from 34, which was nice. They also reworked the light system, which light would be used on endgame gear, meaning legendary and exotic gear could be infused to make it higher, but for at least the initial release, when you actually boosted stuff, it was based on an algorithm. It wasn't like later on when it became 1-to-1, which became really nice when it was 1-to-1, because that wasn't great. You gained a whole bunch of bounty slots, and you were able now to turn them in wherever you were, as opposed to having to go back to the tower or wherever you were getting your bounties from. Which, actual quests, there were plenty of them. You had certain rewards based actually on the quests that you were doing, so it was kind of nice. The carrot on the stick got a whole lot tastier.
I did enjoy that too. Knowing that you're going to get something after completing this task made you want to play the game more. Even
if it wasn't even that great of a thing, like what was that scout rifle you got from Petra for finishing the wolves? Oh god, Bullion Gemini.
Oh yeah, the Bullion Gemini.
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't the greatest scout rifle, but when I got it, I felt fucking great. I was really happy. It's like, I have an exotic this early in the game. Ooh.
It was nice, yeah.
The you also had the ability that when you're in the tower to take off your helmet or keep it on. Um, I keep mine on because, like most guardians, I created a very ridiculous looking guardian. Um, you had faction allegiances for Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and the new Monarchy to get you more tasty treats.
Woohoo!
They'll give you like, yeah, I know, you rep up with them, they'll give you weapons, armor, or came up later on a third slot. Um,
Yep.
for Chroma, which we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
Get legendary marks, which combine the Crucible and Vanguard marks previously in the vanilla and the other two expansions, which just kind of streamlined the whole process instead of having like different things. Glimmer's still there, so no worries there.
Oh yeah.
We had
Still kept at 25,000 too.
yeah, yeah, still kept at 25,000. Must have been a hard code to change.
I guess.
Yeah. We have kiosks. So we can dismantle all those exotics now without like just kind of hoarding them over like Smeagol.
I got
Um,
so many exotic shards when those kiosks showed up.
I know, kidding, right?
There was so much
I
gear I was holding on to just because I didn't want to get rid of it and not be able to get it back.
Well, like I said, I started really late in the process, so a lot of those things that I got, like I actually had the Thorn from year one and the Gallarhorn.
Hmm.
I said I sharded them really quick, and a lot of people were like, "Why'd you do that?" Like, well, why not? I can go back and get them if I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you're able to get your emblem ships, shaders, and sparrows from the collections as well. It frees up more vault space for you know, people like me that are like hoarders and stuff.
I hoard
Where
everything.
yeah, I know. Oh man, I can use this IS Luna. Let me build it up and never use it again. Uh,
All the time. Yep.
yeah. 17 Amaga loops later. Um, we also had Arms Day, which well, first you could get test weapons from the gunsmith, which actually I still do to this day. Even though like it's a dead, basically kind of a dead thing, I still grab those weekly guns from the gunsmith. Now you can take them into your patrols or your PvP or Crucible type of things. I prefer to do the PvE ones because they're a little easier and a little more forgiving than the PvP ones. But
Yeah, you get some PvP ones. It's like get
or
7 headshot kills or something
garbage.
with this
But
garbage piece of weapon. Yeah, piece of shit weapon. Yeah.
but also like when you know the face when you're in the Crucible and you're facing somebody and you see that the test blah 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 go
Mm-hmm.
across your screen with the weapon kill, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go outside and scream.
Yeah.
Um, you also got your class specific items or class specific weapons from him. At rank 3, you got a legendary for each class, and at rank 5, you can get your class specific exotic. These went in from rank to very good to meh, all right to oh my god, why did you guys make this exotic weapon? And I think we all know what we're talking about. Looking at you, Titans. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, talk about the raw and the stick, but
They,
hey,
they
that
did buff it a bit, at least. So.
they buffed it a little bit, but still, it was actually fun to use in PVE, and I did use it once in a while, but it lost its luster quick. But that Talalok though, you
Oh,
dirty fucking warlocks.
that's the only one I ever got was the Talalok. I never got the
Oh,
Hunter one or the Titan one.
I got all three because I'm just a fucking loser, I guess. But the Ace
I
of
thought
Spades.
about it.
Oh, the Ace of Spades I've been taking out on Mars recently and just shooting a bunch of shooting a bunch of
Practicing.
yeah, I gotta get in there with the Cabal. It's Cade's
Yeah.
favorite weapon.
Mhm.
They also doubled the vault space, so it basically said, "Hey, you hoarders like trailer parks? Here's a mansion." But yeah, you also got like different slots for armor, weapons, and like your general items. So many of which you don't actually use, but it was great for your actual like planetary items like the Spirit Bloom and Spin Metal.
Yeah, I think I still have some telemetries that I got back in Vanilla Destiny that I've
Oh
never
yeah,
used.
I just used a rocket launcher one the other day.
You can't get rid of them either. Like, it's either
Yeah.
use it or just let it sit.
Yep, pretty much.
I don't know. But yeah, those were some changes in year 2 with the Taken King itself. There were a lot of additions to the game. Of course, with a $40 price tag, you would certainly expect that they added a bunch. So as far as destinations, this is a first in Destiny DLC history that we got a new patrol zone. This is where they introduced the Dreadnought, which, if you remember, or if you haven't listened to it yet, go back and listen to episode 1 of our little series here. The Dreadnought was meant to be in the base game but never made it, so we finally get introduced to this play space and some missions on Phobos as well. Came with a new raid. We'll get into that later on. New subclasses. We got yes, finally. A full year after the game came out, we finally got new subclasses.
I had to wait a whole year.
Yeah, I know it sounds silly when you listen to it back, but we got the Sunbreaker Titan, so you just throwing fiery hammers at people. The Stormcaller or the Crutch Caller. I don't know, depends on who you're talking to about Warlocks. And then the Night Stalker Hunter, which is really good as well. I mean, these new subclasses were pretty well done, I must say.
These were extremely well done, and good job to you, Bungie. I give you the Italian kissy fingers. Mwah.
The Stormcaller melee distance was a subject of a lot of animosity. I mean, Warlocks already were to begin with because their melee range was longer, which always made sense to me because they are using the power of the void. It's not their palm that has to make contact. They're using energy to melee with. But I guess that's too big for people's minds to wrap around.
I still think it's a difference between hardcore players and regular casual players, because like even now they shorten the range, but I don't really notice. I'm not the most hardcore player, but I do notice, like, I can hit from far away, yay. Mm-hmm. And before I was like, I can hit from far away, yay.
Yeah. It's not that big of a difference, but
yeah,
they definitely addressed that in Destiny 2 and made everybody's melee range the same, which I think hurts the classes be different. But anyway, we got a new public event type of activity. It was called the Court of Oryx. That was on the Dreadnought. You had to bring a fire team with you or meet with random people that were also there at the time. If the matchmaking put you into an instance that already had somebody there. A lot of clunkiness with that design, but
it was. But what they were looking for was kind of like an arcade coin op type of design.
Yeah,
where somebody drops the quarter in and then you rush. You go into the mode.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was fun. Yeah. Some of the encounters
it was fun to farm once in a while.
Yeah, some of the encounters were difficult, so it's not like it was something that you just breeze through and like, okay, well, a Court of Oryx, woohoo. Some of them you actually had to coordinate with people and know how to approach it.
It is interesting that when you go in, not to get off on a rant here, but when you get in there with random people, it's really especially at first, it's really cool how they all start kind of figuring out everything, and you can see who's figuring out what, because you'll always have that one guy who's just shooting at everything and has no fucking clue what to do, but everybody else eventually he falls in line and notices what's happening. So it's actually a really cool thing, and I'm sure people have gotten friends that way.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, you meet somebody who helps you with the Court of Oryx, you guys stay there and you play for a while, send each other friend requests.
Yeah.
This game is responsible for building rather large sections of the gaming community because of how social the game ends up being.
Mm-hmm.
And also with the Taken King, we got 4 new strikes. Well, 3 strikes revamped with some Taken. But there was one that, out of the 4, keeping with the PlayStation exclusivity, that you could only play on PlayStation 4. Which is still the case to this day until October of this year.
Yeah,
which is another sore subject. We got 3 new Crucible modes, 8 new Crucible maps, and they added calcified fragments, which is something for people to collect, but you had to collect them, and you have to collect enough of them in order to get an exotic weapon from the King's Fall raid.
You also needed them for was it the Triumph book? Or whatever.
For the Age of Triumphs, yeah.
Well, what was the one before that?
No, I'm sorry, not the Age of Triumph.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Year 2 Moments of Triumph, I think it was.
Yeah, the Moments of Triumph. You needed. I forget how I thought you needed all of them, which is kind of crazy. But so. I think, yeah. Oof.
I grounded out. I didn't care. I wanted to complete that book and get my shirt, and I did.
Oh, I just wanted to read the Books of Sorrow.
Oh yeah, the Books of Sorrow. There's such
Yeah,
good lore in there, and it's a shame
this
that they didn't put it in the game itself.
this is true, but it was written by an actual sci-fi writer, which is like one of those things that yeah, I think people can at least appreciate that they're pretty serious about this actual game for the like
Yeah.
people that they bring in. Um, did it add anything else?
Other than that, it was the swords that we got for the first time in the game. This is where the swords got introduced. There was legendary and exotic versions that you could get. The exotic ones took, I don't know, several hours of collecting materials and hoping for the right thing to drop.
Yeah,
But you had the raised ladder, which was your solar sword. There's the
Dark
boltcaster, which
Drinker.
is the arc one, and then the dark drinker, which is your
Dark
void
Drinker.
sword.
We'll definitely be talking about that one next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Uh, yeah, you go ahead. We've been
okay.
rambling on.
So the gameplay portion of this, for any of like the regular games that we go for, we actually like talk about some of the gameplay of the actual game. But since this one has like so many gameplay things, we split it up into different things. So this week we'll be going over some of the, or actually all the Crucible game modes.
Hmm.
This is yeah, this is where the Guardians go and practice killing each other, while also like either teabagging or clam sliming another actual player. I don't do that, but I don't play Trials of Osiris all that often.
I teabag
Um,
only when I'm teabagged.
this is true. That's a great way to get animosity put on yourself. So if
Hmm.
you're a teabagger, just remember there's going to be a 6-person team that's actually talking to each other. Uh, the first mode we'll go over is Control. It's a 6v6 team mode. This is one of their more popular modes. I noticed this is one of the more casual ones too. So like I think anybody can jump in Control and figure out what the hell to do. But for
You might think so.
yeah, well, yeah, I know. Everybody in this game is, at one point is kind of hardcore. This is where the players attempt to capture zones to maintain an advantage. The points are awarded for kills, zone neutralized, and zones captured. Assists too, but like the main assists are basically you helping kill somebody. So good job, you tried. Um, you capturing more zones isn't necessary for the win, but God help you if you don't play the objective and try to win, which I think's like the main complaint about that mode is you
Yeah.
always when you go into a random thing, there's like just people who won't play the objective at all and just shoot.
Yeah, like you don't need to hold all the zones.
Nah.
Two would be fine for excuse me, for the entirety of the match, but
Yeah.
you get people that are just so focused on just slaying, and you're the lone ranger trying to cap a point, and then three people from the enemy team come around the corner.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, well, I was dumb.
You get team shot, they keep the zone, and then they just
Yeah. We also have
objectives.
combined arms, which is it's just a form of a control. It's on a giant fucking map with vehicles.
Oh
You
yeah,
get the pikes. Yeah, this is a fun one.
the interceptors. Oh my god.
We yeah, I don't even use the interceptors all that much. I found myself using the pikes more because I like the way they roam around and everything. The interceptors, I always find myself I've driven off a cliff a few times on the moon. Stupid jets. We have zone control. This is where the objective is the only thing that matters. So this is for people who refuse to play the objective. They probably just bounce out right away because they're like, I can't kill anybody. No works. I can't get point. But yeah, yeah. This is you. It's based on a timer, and the time for as many zones as you capture, the plus 100, plus 200. Each time the timer goes off, the score goes up. So
Yep.
pretty cool.
I like that one every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they usually have it on weekly, at least once a month, which I usually appreciate. It's actually great for getting kills. I don't know why people don't like it more. Uh,
Yeah.
Clash, this is your all-out war. This is your Slayer. Well, not really Slayer. This is your team Slayer, where it's 6v6. You guys just shoot each other, do whatever. dance at the fountain, or things like that. Um, this is probably where you want to team shoot, but loners like me, we I tend to have a shitty KD because I can't stop flanking into whole teams. Uh, so that's never fun. But points are awarded for kills and assists for this one. I think everybody like that. That's another pretty casual mode, and it's really fun to do.
I like
We have
Clash.
yeah, Clash is just easygoing. You don't have to worry about it objective. It's just stand across from each other and shoot.
Yep.
We're going 17th century war style with that one. We have Rift. So for all you football types, this is the one where this is a divisive one because I actually love it, but I know a lot of people who hate Rift. And you mentioned Rift, they go outside and start chopping up their bushes or doing yard work to avoid from having a conversation about it. But each team starts in their Rift. A spark pops up in the middle of the map. One guardian on either team captures the spark, and there's usually a war around that spark. And attempts to slam dunk. Huge points are awarded for dunking the rift, especially if people are around it. It goes off like a giant bomb. Running the spark and killing the spark runner also gets you some decent points. I love that mode. The one thing I always wish they'd have put in it though, since we have like sticky grenades, is the ability to actually pass the spark. I always thought that would have been like a fun.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you basically just sticky your teammates or something. Oh man, I could only imagine the frustration in the community though.
People just lateraling the freaking spark the whole time.
Oh man, that'd be so much fun. We have Supremacy, which is a 6v6 mode it's going to be introduced next week's expansion. But in this mode, it's when you kill a garden, they drop this little thing that looks like an engram called a crest. The crest can be picked up by either your team or the opposing team. Points are awarded to the opposing team when the crest is picked up. But if you pick up the crest, you deny the other team points. I don't know how you feel about this mode. I like it.
I love Supremacy. It's essentially kill confirmed on Call of Duty. Just made up in a Destiny way.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. Actually,
I think it puts it definitely a nice wrinkle in the game, because most of the other modes were just kill without like actually capturing anything. I mean, capturing anything once you killed it. So it adds a nice wrinkle. We got Skirmish, which is 3v3 Slayer, but there's no objective in it, and revives are available. This is the first time in this list.
Yep.
So, and they also give you points. So if you think people going around and reviving people are just chicken shits, they're still getting points, buddy.
Yeah.
Now this
I've
one,
won many games just by reviving somebody.
Oh yeah. If sometimes you'll run into that team that you just you can't kill, but if your two other guys are better than you and they can do the kills, all you have to do is sit back and revive them, and you can actually have a really good game. Yep. These are strategies that people don't usually do unless they're in a party together. Yeah. We have Salvage. This is
not a huge fan of this one.
I'm a huge fan of it now. I wasn't before, and this is like the first time I actually looked it up lore-wise. It's actually pretty cool. The object to this one is to utilize your ghost. You take it out and you like scan this ancient relic and protect it while the ghost is salvaging, while the other team tries to kill you. I suppose the ghosts were actually happy this time with this, considering this is the only time that they were used in the actual Crucible, besides indicating where to actually revive or teabag somebody.
Or teabag, yeah.
Yeah. Ghost here, teabag. But yeah, this was a really cool mode. Another one that you get some good team play going on this. It can be fun for both sides, especially when you run into another team that's of equal strength.
Yeah, I just didn't like the way people approached it. Like, once people found out that you can just wait for somebody to try and capture the relic and then just go and kill them and dismantle it, and then you get more points than what they did.
Yeah,
and that's how everybody played the freaking game type. I was like, fuck this.
Fans backwards.
I'm done.
Pretty much. Oh, hey, Elimination. Yeah, the one I never do. This is a best of 5 series. So Um, this is it's first to 5 wins, right? I think I had it.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to win
yeah. It's
5 rounds
first.
and
You have
then you
to
win
win
the game.
5 rounds. The only way to win is to eliminate the opposing team and teabag them. If you die, you can. If you die, you can only be revived. There's no, spamming square or whatever button
Yeah,
it is
no
on Xbox.
respawns. It's all
There's no
revives.
respawn unless you're a dirty fucking warlock and have a super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eh.
Um,
But people
we
are
have
ready for
doubles.
that anyway. Like if they see you running Sunsinger and they know you have your super, they're sitting there with their sniper rifle just waiting.
Either that or they're like a Night Stalker.
Yeah, and they tether your body as soon as you start coming up in your animation.
That's always funny. X actually appreciates that. We have doubles, which is a 2v2 mode. It's skirmish or salvage, just with 2 people. I've always liked doubles, whether it's randomly going in with somebody or going in with a friend. But it's another one that rarely ever came up in the actual playlist. So a lot of people were kind of like, "Oh, there's doubles in this game."
Yeah. The only time I enjoyed playing doubles was the Crimson Days event that we'll go over later on.
Mm-hmm. That was my first exposure to it, and after that, anytime it would come up, I found it a good way to actually like see how other people play and see if you can acclimate to how they play and vice versa, depending on who has the better skill level.
Yeah.
Whoa, we have Rumble, which is basically Thunderdome or Slayer. This is every Guardian for themselves, kill or be killed. You can only get points by killing, or you get that stupid crossfire fucking thing, which always annoys me.
Thought it was cute that they still gave you assist points, just didn't call it an assist.
Yeah, like, but they're like points. They're like, oh hey, you didn't get this kill, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We have Inferno, which is no radars or super abilities are disabled, just like in the Destiny 2 beta.
AKA
Game mode.
Crucible, no fun.
Yeah, no kidding. I do like the no radars thing. It actually helps basically train to not
Yeah.
to not utilize your radar all the time. But yeah, the no supers is kind of boring. This was for Clash and Rumble. And then we have the exact opposite of that. This is this is called Mayhem. Everything charges at fucking hyperspeed. This is so cool. This is like one of my favorite modes, especially when I need to get like ability kills in the Crucible. Yeah, then you do it in Clash or Rumble once in a while. It's for the Iron Banner, which we'll go over here in a second. But yeah, this is probably my favorite. Just like get online with somebody, start dicking around for a few rounds, and this is the best like one of the best casual modes I think you can do for the Crucible.
Yeah, as rage-inducing as Mayhem can be, because all the ability spam, I still like playing it quite a bit.
That's the only time I had I think I did like a 6.14 KD one time, which is just kind of nuts. Yeah,
Mayhem, that's pretty crazy. Yeah,
I think that was my highest total, was 32 kills ever, which I just spammed supers and heavy ammo. We have we have some Crucible events. We have the Iron Banner, which is a Power Matters 6v6. It could be Rift, Supremacy, Clash, Control.
That one time it was Rift. Oh my god.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
If you have a team, it's fine.
Yeah, when you have a team, it's fine. Or somebody who, like me, enjoys running the Rift or running the Spark and knows, to get back into your Rift to make sure all your Guardians are there to provide cover fire instead of just running it right away. We have Trials. This is the all elimination battles. That's up to 5, and you have to get 9 wins. In order to get to the lighthouse, you got to get the 9 wins flawlessly, which Yep, that's all I'll say about that. We have the Sparrow Racing League. Woo!
Woo!
This is our version of Guardian Kart, except we use our Sparrows and there's no weapons or anything. It's just a pure race with things such as forklifts on the course. Oh, that forklift.
That fucking forklift, bro.
Yeah, fuck you, forklift.
Memes were
Um,
made of that forklift.
he was a yellow bar. We have Crimson Doublés, which was mentioned earlier. This
Yeah.
is a special 2v2 mode. During the Crimson Days event, which we'll be covering both when we get to that.
Yes, we will. Well, that's a whole lot of Crucible shit they got going on.
Yeah. And
This is a good thing we. What's that?
I said, and who says there's no modes?
Yeah, well, I mean, they limited the selections nowadays.
Yeah, but yeah, private matches.
Yeah, you can play any of the modes at any time with your friends if you want. The overall synopsis of the Taken King, though. But by the way, I'm so glad we've split up the gameplay things into different episodes because we could have a whole episode probably just on the gameplay of the game itself. But picture this, right? There's this group of overpowered individuals, and they kill your son while you're trying to maintain order in your murderous alien race. I mean, wouldn't you be pissed off too?
The fuck is this, Fox News?
Well, no, but we pissed off Oryx by taking out his
I
son
know.
Crota in the first expansion.
You're blaming us for him being mad. Jeez.
But that's essentially the setting of the game. We got this impending doom when Miss Eris Morn was crying about Oryx in previous expansions. Well, now he's a force to be reckoned with. But as far as the enemy alien races go, I mean, the House of Wolves are on Mars. They're trying to recover, what was lost in the House of Wolves expansion. We wiped out pretty much everybody in that house. But some of the Fallen have become taken and given augmented abilities. And
Fuck you, captains.
yeah,
Fucking assholes.
the Taken versions of all of the alien races are so much more annoying than their counterparts. But we also have a giant Shank who's trying to take control of our war sats and such. The Hive. They've also gotten taken. They're featured a lot in this expansion, of course, because it's about Oryx. He's the king of the Taken and the Hive race itself. So, of course, they're going to be referenced a lot in this game, this expansion pack. The Vex have been taken by Oryx as well, but that's mostly it for the Vex. I mean, we don't really see much of them as a race, unfortunately. But here, what are the Cabal up to? They're actually involved in this one a little bit, because they slammed one of their ships into the Dreadnought.
It gives you a great idea of what the fuck they like to do.
Well, Oryx took one of their Primuses, so they got a little pissed off. So they were trying to get him back, blah, blah, blah. But they, during the story, sent out a transmission to the Cabal Empire. I wonder what that's all about.
I don't know what that's going to do. It's probably nothing at all, folks. Don't think too much into that one.
I mean, they didn't have time to explain what they didn't have time to explain, so they sent it off in a message.
Every episode. My ears bleed. I'm sorry.
My bad. So the alien races, I mean, of course, they're going to be involved. We need to kill something during the game, right? But our Guardians, this is where things get a little bit more interesting, because we gain access to different powers for our classes. With the Hunter, as we briefly mentioned, you get the Night Stalker subclass. You're essentially drawing from the void, and you create the... what the hell's the name of the bow? I know it has a name. I know the super itself is called Shadow Shot.
Yeah, Shadow Shot. That's what I was going to call it. I don't know what the bow is called, though.
You make a bow out of void, and you shoot a Shadow Shot. It actually tethers enemies to the point of impact from the Shadow Shot, and there's different perks and stuff, of course, that do different things. But this is the first, I'd say, like the first support-ish type class that the Hunter gets. And as a class overall, the Hunters are like lone wolves. So in
Yeah.
essence, in the lore, it makes sense that they didn't have things that benefit the team as a whole. Like, of course, you're going to benefit them because you're smoking enemies with your golden gun, or you're smashing through them with electricity using your arc blade. But
This is a
the,
beast ass fucking super though. This is like when I got this thing,
yeah,
I was just like, oh, people are gonna want me now.
the shadow shot, yeah, it's very, very
Yeah.
useful. Creates many orbs. It holds enemies in an area for easily, so you can easily kill them.
You could
Very,
also
very
set
good.
traps with it. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you can shoot the shadow shot, have it act as a trap, and then it doesn't activate until an enemy gets into proximity of it. The smoke grenades are very useful.
The wombo
Very,
combo.
yeah, the wombo combo was very, very deadly in the Crucible.
It
It still is,
hated.
but it's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, it's just strongly disliked now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hate's a strong word. Very disliked. I think it's a good way
Uh,
to say it.
if you, I've been online and heard some rather interesting phrases when somebody gets hit with a wombo. So
I'm sure you have. But as far as us warlocks, talking about myself, we gain the ability to wield arc energy, and with that we get the Stormcaller subclass.
aka the seventh column subclass.
The seventh column subclass, the Emperor Palpatine's subclass. I mean, I've heard it
Tickle
called many
fingers.
things. Yeah, tickle fingers. You're essentially shooting electricity out of your fingertips. It came with the ability to blink while your super is active with ionic blink. So now that made two subclasses the Warlock could technically blink with.
Mm-hmm.
The
Which
melee,
makes sense.
yeah. I mean, the Warlocks are the ones that came up with blink. The Hunters stole it from them. So,
Yeah.
but the melee was
Good.
very obnoxious. The long range, like you could hit people from across a room with the melee if you had your melee cooldown all charged up. It's been since been adjusted, but with the Titans, you get the Sunbreaker subclass. You're calling upon the power of solar energy, and you just essentially have an unlimited amount of hammers to throw at people and cause mayhem until your super meter runs out, of course.
until
But
the winter time and they destroyed it.
yeah, and they cut it off at the kneecaps. Essentially,
Yeah, they
it
nerfed
was
this
too
one bad.
powerful. Okay,
Yeah, agreed.
that's one of the few things I should say that I agree with the mass of the Destiny community is that Hammer's Soul was too powerful. It was killing too easily from so far away from the impact zone. But
Yeah, it
now
was
it's
like
like you
having
hit people with it and they don't die.
uh that and they seem to dumb down some of the tracking too.
Yeah,
Which
of
I
course.
believe they did in that nerf. Yeah, the tracking on it was awesome at first. I
Yeah.
really wish they would have kind of kept the tracking, but that's just
Hmm.
me because I find myself even with the modifier for tracking turned on that they just don't lock on like they should. Which I
Yeah.
mean, I guess it's part of the course when they nerf something.
Yeah. Those hammers used to track like fucking truth rockets do. I mean,
Oh yeah,
but the friendly NPCs, we get to interact with Ava and Amanda Holiday a little bit. Not really going to go too much into detail what they were involved in because they'll also come back at the latter part of this episode with the Festival of the Lost and the SRL event. But we got Mara Sov, who's back in action. And this is where we find out how powerful she really is. Because Iris Morn, sends out the alert about the incoming of Oryx and his fleet. So Marasov sets out to Saturn in an attempt to destroy the Dreadnought. Here you see her coven of the Tetuan witches, and they summon her pretty much super ability or finishing move, whatever, the Harbingers.
yeah.
Essentially just deadly orbs capable of annihilating pretty much anything in their path. So they bombard the ship, but it has little to no effect on the shields, which is unfortunate.
Well, it doesn't help that the fucking dreadnought's basically a giant floating magical dragon. So
Yeah,
dead
yeah,
magical dragon. That's yeah.
It's a fucking tomb ship on steroids,
Yeah,
essentially.
it's
It's
stupid.
like a planet on its own that's just moving
Yeah.
throughout space. So of course, Oryx on his dreadnought returns fire at the queen, and we don't know what happened to her.
Well, if you listen
There's a
to
massive explosion, and then we don't see her ever again.
one of the Bungie podcasts, the voice actress might have let something slip, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody believes Marasov is still alive because if she wasn't, we would have heard about her death, her body being discovered, or
Yeah.
what have you. But Eris Morn is also playing a part in this, of course, because she slept with the Hive for a while. She
Not
is the
sure if
one.
that
Go ahead.
phrasing's kind of awkward, but anyway.
Well, she ended up with their eyes. I mean, come on.
I know.
She had to do some sort of favor. But yeah, Eris becomes aware that Oryx is entering our galaxy, I guess is a good way to put it, and notifies Marasov, which kicks off that whole thing and her ship getting blown to fucking bits. Banshee 44, he's no longer just this robot that sits there and gives you weapon telemetries. As Drake touched on, we get Arms Day as well. So he's giving you test weapons to build up rapport, I guess. With him, you rank up the gunsmith now and get rewards and stuff like that. So
You
he's
can
more
also
involved.
buy like weapons blueprints off of them that you get the next
Yeah,
week. I forgot
yeah,
to go over that earlier, but yeah, he does that as well.
yeah. And Miss Tef Everett, Tef. Oh my God,
Tef.
Tess Everest. She jumps in the fray with the people at the tower, but she's there for your money,
Yeah,
not just your glimmer either.
real money.
Yeah, we're talking about
No.
dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah,
Which
we'll
didn't
go
really
into
make
that
too many
later.
people that happy.
Yeah, we'll we'll get into that a little later.
Mm-hmm.
So this game supposedly has a story. Actually, this one really does. So,
Yeah, they did a
um,
much better job at telling a story with
yes,
this expansion.
they have story and stakes and all this other. So, yeah, you remember all those Hive dudes that we were just burning the shit out of in the Dark Below? Well, you probably should because we've gone over it like 2 episodes now. You know about the Hive. Don't start here. Go listen to those first 2 episodes, and then you come to this one.
Do
Um,
it. You won't.
yeah, you fucking better. Anyways, um, yeah, we've been busting the shit out of them on the Earth and Moon. So, and wherever the hell else they popped up, I think those are the only two places though. Um,
Earth
but
and Moon, yeah.
yeah. So while we were gloating about destroying Crota and Omnigul, which we definitely were, you know, hey,
Mhm.
remember that guy on the moon? We fucked him up.
Yeah.
Eris
We
was
did that.
yeah, Eris was talking to somebody. Yeah, that somebody was Marasov. She is the Killer Queen. As she's dynamite with the laser beam. Yeah, so yeah, this you know him, Oryx. He's parked his big ass ship in the rings of Saturn. We know what the ship's called. Giant zombie dead dragon thingy.
Mm-hmm.
Eris lets the queen know that maybe she can, go take care of that because Eris believes that the queen's strong enough. So she takes her fleet to Saturn to bust some caps. She also brings her douchey brother who's leading the fighter attack, but he's probably too worried about his hair and his crows.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's like, "What do you think
Pompous
of
son
my
of a bitch.
hair?" And the crow just
Man.
kind of looks at him. Meow.
Yeah. Where it's like, fuck your hair.
He's like a Disney princess. Anyway, um, so this is the Queen of the Reef versus the Taken King. Woken versus Hive. Queen versus King, who used to be a queen. Yeah, there's more info on that. Go read the Books of Sorrow. Don't come to me.
Not really. You
Um,
should. There's just a lot of information about all of the Hive,
yeah,
especially Oryx.
yeah,
So.
that last part will make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or was he a princess or a queen? I think he was a princess actually. Anyway,
Yeah, their father was in control, I believe. him and his two sisters, or her and her two sisters. It's confusing. Just go read
it. So we talked about the Harbingers later. She releases her dynamite with a laser beam at the Dreadnought.
No.
Makes it does make a hole in it. But yeah. Oryx hits his super move. He had his V trigger all the way up on that one.
Oh yeah.
And basically wipes that fleet out. Maybe with the Queen, who knows. Little nugget there, Petra did say they were dead, but you know that could be neither here nor there.
And you see an explosion like that, of course you're going to assume they're dead.
We didn't assume Bruce Banner was dead when the gamma radiation bomb hit him.
No, I mean, of course not. That's Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
But you know, another nugget. I don't know. You may have to go rewatch the cutscene, but right before the blast hits the Queen's ship, it looks like she blinks. Out of there, like she dissolves, and I don't think it's as a result of whatever hit her ship.
Oh no, she went elsewhere to go be a space pirate, probably. Woo! Space pirates. That's the next Destiny expansion. So what are we doing? Just sitting around. Actually, the Vanguard get they intercept a distress call from the Skyburners Fortress on Phobos. You know, those cool Cabal guys who are really shitty turtles at sending signals.
Yeah.
Because we tend to intercept every single one. So we get to the fortress, and yeah, this is some scary shit. I was taken aback by how much scary shit was going on. You got this you go in there's all this like weird black and white space goo and shit, and then like you get this Cabal that's falling down like an elevator shaft and stuff. I was like, somebody likes horror movies here.
Yeah, that was pretty savage.
Yeah, that was fucking great. You keep seeing Cabal getting like ripped into these little like portals and stuff, and then you get to this big ass large room where Oryx says, "Hey, you fucked my hive up, and I'm going to kill you." That's basically what he says. You don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
So this is the first time you come against the Taken, more specifically a knight. And some that night he starts spewing his stupid fire all over the place. You destroy it. You make your way through a bunch of corridors, fighting a few more Cabal, which kind of sucks because they're kind of getting their ass kicked, and you're just kind of like, oh, I'll just blow your head up. But you're also feeling taken on the way. Once you get there, it starts a countdown. So you do your best Metroid impersonation, make it to your ship, and get the hell out of there.
Except you can't turn into a little ball and roll around.
That's 2 expansions from now.
All right.
Yeah. It's gonna be the new hunter subclass, bounty hunter. Back at the tower, the Vanguard start. They're discussing the whole attack and everything. They have this cool little light up screen that shows the Dreadnought and shit. Eris comes walking in, is talking some spooky shit, puts her rock on Cade's map, which he tells her to get it off there.
Eris, get your rock off of my map. This is when they switched on Cade 6's comedy part of it.
He had absolutely none in the first one, and even if now you play some of the older like strikes and stuff, he just sounds so dour and bored.
He's so dry.
Yeah, he's very dry.
I'm glad they gave Nathan Fillion a little bit of freedom to do the voicing a little bit differently.
Oh, of course, it was for the better.
Yeah.
So after this, the Vanguard are like, "Hey, you're a subclass. Go to somewhere." This is where you get your new subclasses. So the Titans go to Mercury to become Sunbreakers. Warlocks do some witchy shit and go to Mars to become Stormcallers, and the Hunters go find Cade's old buddies, who has been put away out to pasture. But he's in the Black Garden. That's how you get the Night Stalker subclass. This is the first time. All these are on PvP maps. So this is the first time where you actually go into a PvP map in a PvE environment, which I really wish they would have done a lot more of, but I'm not complaining because a lot of these missions that are on the PvP maps are some of probably the best missions in the game, especially in the next expansion. Well, like I said, we'll get to that next week, but yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed
these.
all 3 of those missions to get those
Yep.
subclasses. They were really, really cool.
Yeah, and the only time you can play them is if you play it for the first time again. So
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it once and never see it again. After you're done getting your cool new subclass and probably playing around with it a lot, Cade sends you to the Cosmodrome to find his stash, which has a stealth drive and a bunch of fucking weed in it.
I was gonna say, you can put your weed in there.
um, that's gonna assist us of getting into the Dreadnought. Once that's complete, Cade grabs a wrench, talks to Amanda Holiday, and they apply the drive to Aris's ship, which Cade totally asked permission to get it. He's totally not stealing it.
Of course not. Why would Cade wouldn't do that? Come on.
No, not at all. So plan starts to work. Hey, you are cloaked and you're driving Aris's ship. 2 pluses. I believe somebody sneezes or something. I'm gonna blame Ghost on this one. But something happens. The Dreadnought sees you. It releases that destructive blast for just 1 ship. So apparently you need to know that Oryx really isn't fucking around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when the game ends. Your Guardian's done, and Bungie's going on to make Halo games again. No, I'm just kidding. The ship gets destroyed, which is gonna probably cause Aris to eviscerate Cade 6 in the near future, and the Guardians teleported to the ship right through the breach that was created by Marasov.
Yay!
I know.
We survived.
We survived. After a bunch of corridors, you disable the super weapon by fighting a bunch of fucking Taken. In another area, you discover the call. we touched on this earlier, but yeah, they really did, like, P and the V. They basically forcefully penetrated the Dreadnought with one of their dick-shaped ships.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So this is where you get your chance to, mess up some Working Ball and Hive. You blow up a tank. And then Zavala comes over your Ghost and starts chewing Cade's ass for a lot of things, including sending the Guardian to the ship without authorization. And then they discover the only way to reach Oryx and his his stupid weird giant head is to enter his world, kind of like the whole Freddy Krueger thing that we talked about during Crota. You have to go into his throne world through a warp zone called the Rapture. How awesome. But only Ascended Hive can pass through. So we go find a piece of Crota soul and absorb its energy. This was actually a really cool mission to do because you did your best Metal Gear Solid impersonation to actually get it. Yeah, you went fully like cloaked after getting some stealth tech from the Russian Warmind. You know who that is. Yeah.
Good old Raspy.
Yeah, I'm sure Raspy's really happy about that. You head to the moon, you get the soul, you get your ass back to the Dreadnought. You go on the Dreadnought, you go through the Rupture, you fight a shit ton of Hive and Taken before you even get to Oryx, including a fucking Primus that's been taken.
Yeah,
that's
the Taken Primus, yeah.
Yeah. And a fucking Taken Ogre at the same time.
At the same time. Oh, I shit myself when I first did that mission. I was like, how the hell am I supposed to beat these two at the same time? Yeah. This is why you're still leveling and getting your gear and shit.
I beat them, and then like later on I'm taken out by like a fucking Taken like a Taken a hobgoblin or something. I'm like, all right, well, apparently I could kill these 2 giant fucking things that are of almost god level proportions, but I can't take out this stupid ass. Whatever. So you go after Oryx, you defeat him. After going through like this weird like foggy thing at the end. Roll credits. Woo! Then we actually have we have a mid-credit scene. They must have taken a cue from the Marvel universe. But
the MCU is pretty big at this time. Well, it still is, but
Well, yeah. Well, Aris rather takes the crystal from Oryx's sword once it crumbles, and she says some really cryptic words that people are still trying to figure out what the fuck they mean, as usual. This is how you get your sword. This is what starts the sword missions for the Guardian. Immediately after this, though, we get more story missions. Holy shit! Boy, do we. You go to the reef. Petra and Varix really want to, go after the Hive, which is pretty cool because usually they're just like, hey, can you take out the Fallen? We don't give a shit about all the other ones. So you go across the universe, busting some shit out of the Hive and the Taken. Then they're kind of told, oh, hey, remember that whole you guys beat Oryx thing? Well, he's still alive, and you're gonna have to take 5 of your friends with you for a thing we call a raid. And this is what starts. Yeah, this is what starts King's Fall, which we'll cover later. But spoiler alert, we win.
I mean, if you're good enough, yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're good enough. Not everybody was, I guess. But reeling from the loss of Skolas, hey, we're getting into the House of Wolves again. Yeah, they're kind of like, what the fuck happened? They're like scattered off. And this is where we actually get like one of the coolest things that I realized when I was first playing. This is the only Mars. They go to Mars, but Mars becomes the only planet that has all the races, like all the enemy races. I mean, I know technically the Taken aren't Hive, but they're under the same umbrella as the Hive, so I kind of like lump them in with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is Mars becomes the only planet that has all. It's like the biggest fucking war, and they're all attacking each other, which I would like to see from like like an actual CGI thing, but I guess we'll probably never get that. But they have a new cuddle that stepped to the plate after kicking their ass across the red planet, which has some like really cool. There's like a wide open one where you fight the Cabal, which is like one of my favorite missions for some reason because it's just like you're fighting waves of Cabal, and it's really fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
You find their prime servitor Obix Prime or Orbix, whatever.
Orbix, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't matter. He's dead. He was been pulling the strings the whole time. You know what ended up happening to him. Yeah. Kind of that.
He
After
got
that,
wasted.
oh yeah, he got fucked up.
And not in a cool way.
Yeah, well, he might have thought it was cool. we don't know how the servitors operate. They're probably
This is true. This is very true. Yeah.
Whip me harder, mistress. All right, servitor, you can go.
But I didn't say the safe word.
After all of this, we find old boogerhead himself, Malak. Malak's a prince. He's a little hive prince. So he anytime a king dies in the hive, apparently a prince has to step up. But he thinks he's the new Taken King, which if you fought him, I'm pretty sure we can all agree he's not.
Yeah.
Varric sends us to the Dreadnought to capture him. He was kind of like sitting down there in the bellows, probably playing craps or something. So they could place him in the prison of elders.
Playing craps, playing with himself. I don't know.
Yeah. Playing with his booger head, using it for lubrication. Whatever. Well, once you get there, you kind of screw up. Malak gets away, and then you follow him to the moon, and make his head explode and get probably murdered by Axiom bolts when it's void burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malak is definitely not the new Taken King. He doesn't have the gumption.
Yeah, he's too big of a pussy.
Yeah, he runs too much.
Yeah.
But that's just a brief overview of the story itself, and even still, there's a lot of information in regard to how things are progressing forward from where we started off at, which is phenomenal. Not only did we get a very good narrative as far as story goes, I mean, they added more cutscenes, so to speak, not nearly as much as they're claiming to have in Destiny 2, but
still, it's a right direction type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that too, we got 4 new strikes, like we mentioned earlier. So there was a bunch of content that you could do in this expansion here. The first strike I'd like to go over is the Shield Brothers, which I believe, this is the first time we had to fight 2 bosses that had 2 sets of mechanics in the strike, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So this is in response to Oryx taking the Primus and the Cabal trying to get him back. This is what essentially
half measures with these guys.
Yeah, this essentially is them smashing their ship into the dreadnought, and these two brothers, as they're called, are the ones who are in charge of trying to get their Primus back. Well, they plan on destroying the dreadnought by putting explosive charges on its core. However, destroying the ship that way would more than likely take out most of the solar system with it.
No big deal.
Yeah.
It's just a bumps and bruises. That's all.
Yeah, it's all right. We're guardians. We can get revived, right? Um, but not
Not
the
if
rest
there's no
of
traveler.
mankind. Yeah, not if there's no traveler. That's you're just full of these good points tonight, Drake. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, and as I mentioned, this is the first time you have two bosses to fight. You don't fight them simultaneously until the final leg of the boss encounter. But you fight your way all the way through into the final room. I mean, they bring a tank onto the dreadnought again that you have to
Even
kill on your way.
even though this is like the second time you've seen a tank, the ghost decides to say, "Who brings a tank to space?"
Yeah, it's
You've
one of my
already
favorite
seen
lines. One of my favorite lines from the ghost, though.
Yeah.
Um,
I do wish like when you're fighting the brothers though, that like at that like last one they kind of come together like on Dragon Ball Z. Like Goten and
they do
and
the freaking
Trunks.
fusion dance
Yeah.
and shit.
Yeah, they do the fusion thing. So he's just running at you shooting fucking mortars all over the place.
Oh my god, that would have been hell. Uh, but once you destroy the Goliath tank that you're stuck in the same room as, you finally make your way to the core, which is where you find Valus Maul and Valus Tlurin. Tlurin?
It's all
Yeah.
right. They're dead. They're not gonna hate you for saying their names wrong.
Yeah, there's one of them is solar damage based. That's Valus Maul. He's like a melee guy. He charges after you, slams the ground, and creates like a circle of fire.
Yeah,
So
and
you
fuck him.
basically
Especially
just have to
during
run in
solar burn.
circles. And then his brother Valus Tlurin, whatever the fuck his name is, he was arc based and he had this freaking cannon on his back, and he'll put up a force field to protect himself. Excuse me, but that actually no, it's the second time he comes out.
Yeah.
The first time he just stays stationary and tries to shoot you with these freaking his arc cannon on his back. But if you get too close to him, he will then change positions and start shooting from another location. Of course, as you dwindle their health down, ads come out of doors on either side. You have to kill them. Once you deal enough damage to one of them, they retreat, and then the other one comes out. So you start with Valus Maul. You get his health down, he retreats. His brother comes out, you get his health down, he retreats, and then they both come out at the same time. Now, this isn't the only way to do it, but most fire teams kill Valus Maul first, because when you kill one of the brothers, the other one takes on their abilities. So, from what I understand, what I was told, if you kill the arc cannon one, Valus Tlurin, first, and then Valus Maul is still alive, he will continue to chase you down, but also shoot freaking arc cannon shots at you also. So very hard
I
to
don't think
deal
I've
with.
ever done that. I'd need to do this strike again and see if I can, kill the arc one first.
It would be interesting to see because I've never done it either. It's always been kill the other one first because he's the one who's charging you. So I mean, it makes sense to kill him first.
Yeah.
But you slaughter them, you keep them from blowing up the core, and you keep the solar system safe. Job done.
Hey.
Then there's the Sunless Cell. This has one of my favorite boss encounters, I must say, in complete darkness, where you fight up against Ala Kul.
And he has a really cool helmet.
Yes. He was actually imprisoned on the Dreadnought because he tried to overthrow Oryx and take his crown. I'm amazed that Oryx didn't just slaughter him for trying to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the sword logic, so they don't.
Yeah.
They don't always slaughter each other. It's just like, well, you weren't strong enough. Good luck next time.
Yeah. I mean, this is true. But you fight through a few different rooms. There's this one section in particular. There's two pillars on either side. You have to stand in a circle, kill some shriekers, kill a bunch of Taken, go over a bridge. There's a shrieker room. Like there's like 50 shriekers in the freaking room. They have
Kind
to
of
make your
sucks.
way through. Yeah, it's easy to run through unless it's void burn, because then you get
Yeah.
one shot by every time a shrieker hits you. But you make your way through, you get to the final stage where you drop down into a pit that is just pitch
Pitch
black.
black. Yep.
Can't see anything unless you have a grenade that gives off light or you're firing your weapon, essentially. You deal enough damage to Alakul, he'll disappear, ads will come out. He'll come back randomly, like he just shows up anywhere in the play space, could be right behind you and kill you pretty easily. But you just fight through that, killing waves of ads in between, and you eventually do take them down.
Until you get blown up by one of those shitty thrall.
Yeah, the cursed thralls are a pain in the ass.
So you're not looking.
Yeah, you're trying not to get killed by freaking Alakul, and then there's a damn cursed thrall right behind you, and you're dead anyway.
Yeah, it's awesome when it's no radar as well.
Oh yeah, when chaff is on, that's the greatest.
Yeah, it just feels like a real horror movie.
But after the Sunless Cell, which you do have to play a special version of in order to get your exotic swords as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you revisit that strike even if you don't want to. But after we also got the Fallen Saber, which is essentially an overgrown shank when you really
I
get
would
down to it.
I'd like to put this in the category of the hardest fucking start to a strike.
Yeah. Oh my God. The first time it was the Nightfall, nobody could get through the first beginning part.
Yeah, because it was solar burn and it was, oh my God.
Everybody was glitching it. That's when the glitch was
Yeah,
still
it was
there.
the only
when you
way
can
to
go
do it.
under the ground with your sparrow. But yeah, so the beginning Warsat section is one of the toughest beginnings to a strike that Bungie has ever given us. But the premise to this is the Saber is a superpowered giant shank, and he's trying to take over some of Rasputin's Golden Age Warsats that are still in orbit. Probably not for anything good, let's just say. Given that it's the Fallen trying to do this,
Yeah.
but you
Well,
start
it might
off.
be good.
I doubt it though. Might be good for them, but not from humanity. So you go through the damn Warsat part. You drop down, go through a little tunnel. You kill some more Fallen or Taken, depending on what version you happen to get.
Or Hive.
Or Hive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences in the strikes nowadays, which did help with the replayability a bit. But you fight your way through to the end room, and the Saber comes out of the floor. If it's solar burn, when he first comes up,
Oh man.
take cover. His first
Yeah.
weapon is a solar turret that will one-shot you regardless. With an overshield. I think I was taken out in one shot with that thing before. But
Yeah.
eventually, some sniper shanks will come out of doorways on the upper part of the battle arena itself. Those are very helpful to get rid of as soon as possible because they will keep plucking at you, and you won't be able to regain your health.
Nowadays, this is one of the easier strikes to do.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like got it down pat. But like, especially when it was like the Nightfall, like the end was really hard too, because if you had one person that kind of refused to do any cleaning up on the
Any
ads,
ad clearing,
it was just annoying, and you tell your friend go somewhere else and never come back.
Yeah. But as you damage this giant shank, he goes through a few different attack modes, so to speak. There's the solar cannon, then he switches to like arc cannons, I believe. And then there's like his final form. He just chases you around.
He just runs after you.
The
He's
environment
like,
because he's trying to shock you with the electricity that's coming out of his body now at this point because he's so damaged. But
he learned from the storm callers.
Yeah, he learned from the storm callers. Just get close enough and we'll zap them. As far as the PlayStation exclusive strike, it's the Echo Chamber, which at first I did not like this strike at all.
Oh, do tell. Because I actually really liked it.
Well, I got stuck with people that just didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Oh, they couldn't run that.
They
Run
could
the
they couldn't take the
relic.
relic.
Yeah.
They couldn't stay alive while I was trying to run the relic. Like they would just constantly die, and I get stuck in this circular room with the two Nimrods trying to complete a strike by
Yeah.
myself.
They
Um,
don't take out any of the hobgoblins either, which
yeah,
yeah, it sucks.
getting sniped by hobgoblins that are on the other side of the room because the other two people weren't shooting at them. Whatever. Um, but this has to do a lot with the Vex. You do fight some Fallen as well on your way through to the boss encounter. You end up fighting the Restorative Mind. He's a giant harpy. He's trying to create a bridge that will allow the Nexus Mind to be reborn. And nobody, of course, wants to deal with that asshole again, so we need
Yeah.
to stop the Restorative Mind from
Fucking
doing
jerk.
that. This is the first strike that you have to move a relic in order to progress. There are some energy walls that you cannot go through unless you do pick up the relic and insert it
Yeah.
into a different location that takes down the wall that you go through. Another relic, another wall, another relic, another wall, and then you're in the boss chamber.
Kind of hammers that whole mechanic in your head, doesn't it?
It does, which
It's
is
almost like it's going to
good.
happen in the boss fight.
No, never. um, but you start off by being able to do damage to the boss because he just comes straight out of his circular little area that he's in. But then he like clams up. I guess he like has this exterior shell that he puts around him, and then he's invulnerable. To get
Yeah.
him to come out of the shell, you need to take a relic and place it into a pedestal, all without dying, because it's just constant fire from the boss
Yeah.
while he's shelled up as well.
I think on like the third phase too, he does a Medusa, starts doing his Medusa stare. So if you're not in cover,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's either how many times you insert the relic or his health.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one it's based off of, but he starts doing, excuse me, a Medusa's stare.
mm-hmm.
After you insert the relic, so just hide behind a pillar as long as you're not within eye shot or line of sight of the boss, you're good. But yeah, you just dwindle down his health and until he's dead, just like any other
Yeah.
strike boss.
This also elicited the Amaga loop for the strike specific loot, and I was really happy with that.
Yeah, you can get that from this or
Undying Mind.
Undying Mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss my Amaga loop. Anyway, did this have a raid?
I don't know. Did it?
Fuck yeah, it did.
Hell
Oh my god, I love this goddamn raid too.
King's
This
Fall
is like,
is fun.
yeah.
Oh, I
this is
stole
my,
it. I'm sorry.
First completed one. Yeah.
This was your first completed raid?
Yup.
Oh yeah, you started with Taken King, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It'll
Anyway,
always have a special
sorry.
part in my heart.
Oh.
Don't be sorry, dude. So yeah, we got King's Fall. This is the biggest and baddest. First thing you do, you load it into the Court of Oryx area. Is where you find like these 6 statues.
They're
this is
actually
basically-
there
this is-
without doing the raid too. Just I don't know. You don't do much with them.
Yeah. But this one you get the relics, put them in into these 6 statues, rinse and repeat. It opens a rupture to guess where? Throne
I don't know.
Land. Yeah. We're gonna go into Oryx's Throne World to really fuck them up. You have 2 jumping puzzles. One's the Chandelier Room, which has these giant things that go back and forth. Really easy. People tend to die and laugh about it. Because they know that they can get through it pretty quick. And
I
then we get
honestly
to the
forgot
part-
about that room.
I know. And then we get to the part where this part tears apart fire teams. We go to the tomb ships, which is you traverse the Hive tomb ships, and you jump from ship to ship. And I know at the beginning it took people a long time, but once you got it, you got it. But you would always, come in with somebody new, and you could sometimes be like an hour and a half later, and they're still doing it. It's
Guardian down.
serious. Yeah.
Who the fuck
Guardian
fell
down.
this time?
Guardian down. Hey man, we can pull you ahead. No, I don't want to be pulled ahead. I need to know this. It
Yeah.
got to the point of sometimes where people would die, like once they made it to the other side, so they can help the person and just guide them to whatever ship they needed to go to. So once you're done with the tomb ships, we get to the totems. I would explain this encounter, but it's all communication, communication, communication. 2 people stay at the top. 3 people go down left and right. Or no, 2 people go down left and right. They hold this thing. I forget what it's
Essentially,
called.
annihilator totems.
Yeah, it's annihilator totems, but like with a little bit more mechanics, and a knight that has the sniping abilities of your best PvP player. But once that's
No
opened,
doubt.
yeah, he can't fucking miss you no matter where you're standing. But after that's done, you'll prove yourself worthy. You go into the War Priest. You got 3 plates, 2 people on basically. Well, I mean, if you want to do it the right way, 2 people on each plate. If you want to do it some weird ass way, you can put 1 person and one on one plate, 1 on another plate, and everybody else get on one side. But I don't think that makes any sense. But
No.
yeah, you just get on the plates. That starts the encounter. War Priest comes out. You fight a bunch of Hive. Clear the ads. Clear the night. You go into a damage phase. Everybody who has their black spindle, hint hint, damages him. Rinse and repeat. A lot harder on hard mode. I think this is the hardest one on hard mode, personally. After that, you kill the War Priest. You go into Golgoroth's cellar. We'll get the Golgoroth in a second, but it's basically a maze, but it's not much of a maze. Like after the first time, it's go this way, but like I guess the best way to actually get through is to follow are those moths or bats or something? There's these little flappy
They supposedly just signify where there's a hole, so you know that you need to jump.
Okay. Yeah, you just have to follow the light, right?
Yeah, you have to try to follow the light, and it'll bring you out. You could go straight, you could make a right, and then you make a left, and then I think it's the second left, and then you make a right, and then you're at the exit. Yep. Something like that.
So, how do you feel about ogres? Kind of scary. Got a big fucking void eye.
They're pretty terrifying, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about spiders?
Not a fan. I'm not exactly afraid of them. But
what do you think about a fucking ogre with spider legs on its back? God damn it, Bungie.
They're designed for their characters and the aliens.
This is their most really I think this is their best fucking designed terrifying fucking character. To put this one in a nutshell, it's basically a kind of a tank and spank. If you're used to MMOs, one person shoots his back, so Golgoroth focuses on them, shoots these axiom bolts at whoever's got the gaze. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of guardians down below shooting him in the tummy in this little pool that somebody has to shoot down. Yeah, that's the best way to explain it. I think a lot of these, if you were wanting to like do this raid at some point, you could watch a video on them, but it's a lot easier than to just do it in motion. Next we get to the
you're looking for the way that Bungie intended it to be done. See if you can find one of Dado Does Destiny's videos with this raid encounter, because they do it that way flawlessly every time. 6 orbs every time.
Fuck those 6 orbs. That was our first time doing it. We tried to do the 6 orbs. We're like, well, they put them there, so we got to use them. God, if we'd only known.
Requires a lot of coordination to do it that way. That's for sure.
Yes, a ton, and you have to be willing to, kind of go down on your DPS. Next we have the piston room, otherwise known as the dick wall.
Yep.
For you pros out there. This is the best time for that. That fucking shit talking cocky ass clown. Who like keeps saying, "Hey, I got the most DPS. I did this. You fucking assholes." Anytime he dies, that guy. This is usually where he gets his comeuppance, because he forgot how to jump and keeps getting shot to the other side of the room while the party laughs at him. He'll usually he'll quit the party without saying anything, block everybody, and then open up a counterfeit sunglass factory somewhere. Never be heard of him again. We have the Daughters of Oryx. I am not going to go over this whole encounter. There's too much. There's too many mechanics here.
This whole raid is just chock
Yeah.
full of mechanics.
This is all mechanics. But this one, the most important person is going to run the relic. It's picked at random. So
The most important
almost
person's going to run the relic, but it's a randomly chosen person.
Yeah. How awesome is that? In normal mode, you can just jump off the edge and it'll pick a new person. So it'll usually go until like there gets to somebody who doesn't mind it. Usually I don't like that route. I'd rather everybody figure out how to do it because
Yeah, just figure it out so you can help your team if you happen to be the person.
Yeah, it's not hard to figure out how to run it. It's it's when it comes to
just jumping on platforms in the sky.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And I must admit that the last time I did it with a Warlock, and I can see why, people like using Warlocks for it. Whatever, don't fucking
it's
judge.
so easy with a Warlock.
Yeah, yeah, I found that out. Thank you. I used to do it with a Hunter, and I almost overshoot the platforms, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So we got the Orcs fight. This you thought the last fight had mechanics? This one has even fucking more mechanics, including like if you do it one way, he'll drop a bunch of bombs at you in the middle of like of the encounter, and you have to run away from each other, not getting close to another Guardian.
Yeah.
As long as you remember to shoot the shooties, make a bunch of orbs. This is kind of a piece of cake. You just have to know your role and shut your mouth.
Yeah, you just need to know where to go and when, essentially.
Exactly. This one's communication, but there shouldn't be a lot of talking during it. Unless you're with your usual raid group. If you're with like a new raid group, everybody needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, not talking about what you had for dinner or where you kissed your wife last night.
Well,
strictly raid chat.
Yeah. But this didn't just have a raid. What else did it have?
What else did it have? I don't know. It had some other little bits and pieces that they provided us. Some of the events, actually. Now we're going kind of outside of the scope of the Taken King at this point. We're trying to get as much as year 2 as a whole for you guys in this one episode, because I don't think we'll have time to do it ever again. Because next week is going to be just as long with Rise of Iron. That there's a lot of info there to cover as well. But
Iron is rising.
Oh yeah, that was a common saying within the clan. So with the events, we started getting these timed events from the live team. The first of which was the Festival of the Lost. It was a Halloween event. It lasted from October 26th until November 9th of 2015. This is where we got everybody's favorite map, the Cathedral of Dusk in the Crucible. It's, I think, the largest map that isn't like a Sky Shock or
nothing like a Combined Arms map.
Right, but there's so much ground to cover in that Crucible map. But anyway, you essentially just collect candy. There are some quests that you require a specific mask, which really pissed me off because I couldn't get some of the masks. So I couldn't do
pretty quick.
I couldn't do some of the quests because I didn't have the mask that it asked for.
Yeah.
But you collect candy, turn it into Ava. She'll give you masks or bullshit reward items.
The only one I really remember is having the Atheon mask and just jumping off the tower, which is like really funny.
Yeah, and that was one of the quests.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. This is where Eververse actually gets introduced. It wasn't with the Taken King. They waited a month and a half or 2 months after the release of Taken King, and then they started asking for more money. Yeah. Well, they didn't want to ask $40 for the expansion, and then like, oh, here's all these pretty emotes and shaders that you can get with real money. But with this event, not that it matters now, but hold on to your raisins.
Yeah, you'll see why.
Yeah. After the Festival of the Lost, we had a winter event, which Bungie shot themselves in the foot on this one, I must admit.
Yeah, this is a dick-headed move right here.
Yeah, they put out there that there was this big announcement that they're going to make at the PlayStation Experience event, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's expecting another expansion or, small DLC, more gear, what have you. We got the SRO announcement. But the winter event lasted from December 8th until the 29th. This is where we got introduced to SRL, or Sparrow Racing League. And this is the first instance of a record book as well. Pretty controversial. The only way to obtain the record book was to buy it for real money. I think it was like $10 too, wasn't it?
$10, yeah.
$10 for a damn digital record book. And it had...
Lesson learned later on.
Yes, they just gave them to us afterward.
Yes.
Thank God. Because that would have put them in such hot water. Yeah. But you completed certain tasks. Like if you're playing Destiny now, you know with the Age of Triumph book, you do shit, you get rewarded for it. And there were rewards specific to that SRL book. So unless you pay the $10, you're not getting those rewards.
I did not.
I didn't
Christmas
either.
Time.
I didn't have the money to do it either. $10 is $10 to me. You know, shit. I'm not made of money, but anyway. While racing, you do get rewards. They did allow Crucible drops. Most of them were just gear that you could wear. It would either recharge your side boost quicker on your Sparrow or allow you to control the pitch of your Sparrow while in midair. Like, it just made your race better with the gear.
This is where I got my first, at the time, max light level item, too, was in the SRL. The helmet would come in like, I got a 420 helmet. I was like, yeah, I finally hit 410 with that helmet. I was like, yeah, woohoo, never to be seen again.
But that was the winter event itself. Crimson Days was next. This launched around Valentine's Day, so of course they had it Valentine's themed with all reds, pinks, and shit. This is where Crimson Doubles came in that we touched on twice previously in the episode. But with this 2v2 mode, when your companion dies, you then get a buff that increases your reload speed, I think your sprint speed. Like, it just gave you a buff because you're now 1-on-2, and that I loved. I think they should have kept it for doubles, but it is what it is.
Exactly.
This is where they actually made new ghosts as a way of trying to get ghosts out to people, because that was a struggle a lot of people had at this time trying to hit max light, because there weren't very many avenues for you to get ghosts from. But with the Crimson Days, this is where Bungie also introduced the freelance playlist in the Crucible. This is for people that are by themselves, freelance, and the only people that you play against in that playlist are people that are also matching up with just a random group of individuals. So you're not running into... It's kind of a
nice wrinkle. Yeah,
it is. You're not running into 6-man teams and you're just there with 5 blueberries. Right. It helps make it a little bit easier on the solo player trying to enjoy the Crucible. Now, the biggest one out of the few, it's not really an event per se, but the update that we got in April of 2016, the April update, also known as the Taken Spring. Bungie did a lot of things with this particular update to the game, so much so that they increased the maximum light level from the 320 that it was to the 335. They gave us more vault space with the April update, because they keep giving us more gear but not any more space to hold it. And they introduced chroma, which allowed you to shine on like a pretty little princess.
Yep. Little lights on your armors.
Yep, lights on your helmet, your arm, legs, chest, everything. Essentially, you can choose, now you can choose which package type you want from the vendor, but it was just all random at first. You could get something chroma, or you couldn't get something chroma. There were special boxes that they came out with for these events that you could buy for real money also, that people were pretty upset about too.
Luckily, they give you the ability to get them in game, though. It wasn't like it wasn't like you couldn't get them unless you paid for them. This was like you could get them. You could just get more if you pay for them.
Right. It wasn't like the SRL record book where the only way to get it is to spend money. At least with the boxes, you could get them as rewards for doing certain things in game. So you could get a few for free, which was nice. Um, Now with the April update, we also got a couple of new strikes. There was the Blighted Chalice. This is where Malak comes back. He's trying to again take some kind of power within the sword liturgy of fucking Hive or whatever. I don't know. But you waste his ass in that strike. It's a pretty decent strike, I must say. They did a pretty good job. I don't really care for the boss encounter.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because you're basically put in a room. I mean, I'm not sure if that's how they expected it to be, but
No,
that's how it is.
I don't think that's how they wanted it, but that's how everybody does that strike. You stay in one room, shoot
Yeah.
at the boss out of the door, either the left or the right of the room, and that's basically it.
I think the first time we did it without, going to the room, and it was a goddamn nightmare.
Oh, I bet. There's just constant enemy spawning as you take down his
Yeah.
health, and he switches up how he tries to attack you. I think the first one's breathing fire, then he launches fucking hive boomers at you, and then he starts shooting out
Hive, no,
axiom darts.
it's Hive boomers, fire, and then the darts.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah.
Yup.
Yeah, so I mean, at least they did that. They switched up his attacks as the strike, or as the fight went on. I must say. Um, Now this is when people really loved the Winter's Run, me included, going to kill the Archon Priest. That strike was really good, and I think they made people happy when they brought it back with the
Yeah.
Taken style.
The Taken style, which when it's Arcburn, that encounter is a little.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, it's a little fun, but it makes you want to punch people too.
It's essentially the Winter's Run strike. There's not much changed to it.
Yeah.
Changes that were done to it, actually. You fight a lot of Taken enemies.
Mm-hmm.
The Archon Priest himself is a Taken captain
Yeah,
now.
it's just a giant Taken orb now instead of a little pod.
Yeah, the pod is still there. It's all blown up and shit, but
Yeah.
you summon him out of a Taken blight, basically, like the other Taken enemies, how they spawn into the battlefield. But with all these additions and adjustments, they did adjust the light level on weapons and armor, because some activities were giving out gear only up to 320. So they had to make some adjustments. Like the normal raid used to only drop up to 310. They switched that to go up to 320. Heroic mode in the raid was 335, the max with this update. Challenge of Elders, which was something we got, excuse me, and yeah, Challenge of Elders was with the April update, because we got Prison of Elders with House of Wolves, and they brought it back and created a harder difficulty one, the Challenge of Elders, and that also dropped 335. Like in other game modes also, like Iron Banner, Trials of Osiris, eventually they made it so that the Crucible, regular Crucible, drops top light level gear at 335.
Yeah, they were just giving you more options to hit max light level, which is nice.
It was great, because they went from Vanilla, Dark Below, and House of Wolves. Well, Vanilla and the Dark Below. The only way to hit max level, light, whatever the fuck you want to call it, was to do the raid, and that was it.
Yeah.
So seeing them branch out, considering other aspects of the game as being end game content, was really nice. And
yeah,
we got
I mean,
rewarded
also,
for doing those things.
It was nice with this update because this is where they introduced the 1-for-1 instead of like that weird algorithm.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't get the maximum light if you turned something in.
Mm-hmm.
This I was really happy with this.
Me too. I mean, it sucked when you had a 335 weapon that you didn't want to use, so you're infusing it into your 315 weapon.
Yeah, and
then you end up with like a 326. You're like, what the fuck?
You start getting some like weird panic attack because you don't know what it's actually gonna do.
Yeah, like, is it worth me investing these materials, not knowing what I'm going to get out of it? I mean, it was much better when it became 1-to-1, for sure.
Some interesting stuff happened for the game with the Crimson Days event. Bungie sent out a ghost shell to their postmaster, whether it be the sugary shell, which was the chocolate one, or the crimson shell, to the community because like nobody got the ghost. I did. I
I
must be
got one
like
too,
a
yeah.
yeah, I must be a fucking unicorn or something because I had both of them. But apparently they noticed that the RNG for it was rather low, and so they gave it to everybody, which was good on them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you had to play at least 7 matches during the Crimson Days event
yeah,
in order to get one for free. So I mean,
yeah,
there are people that didn't even want to touch Crimson Days that went and played 7 matches just so they can get the guaranteed ghost.
yeah.
That's how high in
The-
demand they were. That people
oh
went and
yeah,
played something that they had no interest in just to get one.
just to get one. Which like I thought the Crimson Shell is probably still one of their best ones that they've ever made.
It's really cool
Uh,
looking.
yeah, it's got the little sparkles on it, which is cool as shit.
Yeah.
Um, the music for it was like basic Bungie. I mean, I'm not saying it's basic, but like it was kind of the same thing. The title screen was changed to a more ominous tone with the Taken King.
Which I preferred.
Which yeah, well, apparently some people didn't because I just saw like 12 months of Reddit posts with the title "Bungie, please return to the original title song." Um,
But that's just Reddit though, right?
Bungie, please. Um, that's what they should say. Change the subreddit name to. We have very little on the front voice acting when it comes to like anything new, but there was actually a pretty substantial change.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the ghost was from Peter Dinklage to now Nolan North, known for the Uncharted series and about 50,000 other games.
Yeah, he voices so many characters.
Yeah. Um, kind of light on the Easter egg things too, but for some reason, Bungie decided to code in a basketball court in the King's Fall raid. You just had to like fucking yeah, I never did it because I just didn't have that kind of time, but
Yeah, me
you had to
neither.
like glitch into it. Which it seems like Bungie was totally cool with and like expected people to. Um, so good on them, but it had
Very
nothing to really
specific jumps that you
yeah.
had to make. I don't think you
This
had to glitch into the area. You just had to
yeah.
you had
Just
to
had
like jump on these tiny little lights or whatever that are on the
the
side
little
of the
spikes
walls.
in the dick room.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, thank you. I just want to get through that and be done with it.
Yeah. I also forgot to tell everybody, if you ever watch like the King's Fall raid and want to see how fucking big Oryx is, it's pretty staggering.
Yeah.
That's just my own little like thing in there because I was playing it on a 65-inch TV and I just shit my pants. Um, so
The first time he popping into the area, yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely
yeah.
takes you back a little bit.
Also, if you guys want to laugh, type in "World's First Oryx." It'll
God.
give you a yeah. Nope.
Nope.
Uh,
Nope.
nope,
Nope.
nope,
Nope. Nope.
nope.
Nope. Nope.
Um, King's Fall was the first Bungie raid that when they were actually like developing it, they did the heroic mode first and then scaled back for normal mode, which kind of sounds like how you should do any raid. But
Yeah.
this was they're kind of the pioneers when it comes to first person shooter raids. So like a little mistakes are forgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one big thing going through all of this was that whole tomb ship thing we talked about earlier was supposed to be twice as long. Fuck.
Fuck that.
Yeah. And also how we kind of went over
Mm.
the ghost voice was changed for better or worse to Nolan North.
I think for
I think
better.
I think everybody has their own opinions on this. I never really had a strong link with Dinklage for well as the ghost, so like I don't know really any other. But yeah, you will see I miss Dinklebots all the time on any forum or you know Destiny Reddit.
Comes up a
So
lot. Yeah.
yeah. Hey, did you play this game?
I don't know. I think so.
Good experience.
Overall, I have over 1,000 hours into Destiny as a whole.
Yeah.
This is, but this particular time when the Taken King was coming out was basically when my clan that I was in at the time was struggling a bit. Got to the point where like our schedules didn't line up, so we had people who were doing raids with like random groups of people, knowing that some of the clan would be coming online in an hour or two, but didn't
It's
want to
like
wait
drinking
because
alone.
they had their own shit to do, so they found a group. So we had people that were stuck without being able to do raids and shit. But I mean, even with all of that, I still really enjoyed this period of time with the Taken King.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the fact that we had to wait so long for some content because I was a rabid Destiny player. Uh, like you give me something, I'm gonna fucking eat it up. But I love PVE as it is, so I don't really mind replaying all that stuff. Like what
Yeah,
really?
it has good replayability to it too.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're doing the same strikes over and over again, you can try to, approach them in a different way, or you can switch up your weapons so it makes it different for you. But what I loved a lot was actually the Challenge of Elders when they brought that up in the
Hmm.
April update. I fucking
Yeah.
ate that shit up. I loved it. I love just killing a bunch of ads and a boss in 3 different rooms with 3 different encounters, and then you're done, and then you can do it
Yeah.
again.
And also, Varric's getting super fucking excited about
Yeah.
some of the bosses. It's almost like he was rooting for him. What an asshole.
Kexis, the
Yeah.
betrayer. He gets really excited, and then he starts taking your points away if you take too long, which I thought was
Yeah.
also a really cool mechanic. So
Yeah. You can't
there's a
just sit
need.
in there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't just sit in there and rack up a bunch of points. They'll start taking them shits away if you take too long. So it
Uh,
kind of lit a fire on
yeah.
your ass a little bit.
And there was some fire team that had the top score for until the next DLC came out.
Yep, until they stopped tracking top scores, they were number one.
Yeah.
I remember trying to beat their score one week.
Yeah.
Like really trying
Terrible.
to maximize, like, you shoot an enemy, I'll kill it so we get the assist points, but I'll also kill it with a grenade because that's the bonus that we're getting this week. Like
Yeah.
that kind of coordination still couldn't beat them.
Yeah, those guys were on another level.
For sure.
Yeah, I played this one. I definitely ate up everything because from the other two, I knew they were from the original and the other two expansions. I was already coming into this feeling like the game was lacking, so this was kind of like
Hmm.
Bungie's last attempt to like get me to kind of stay with the game. And once I started like playing this, I was like, okay, I'm in. I got the Black Spindle the first day it was available.
Oh,
Sleeper on the
nice.
first day by doing all the stuff that I had already gathered and all the mysteries they put out for that. I finished King's Fall in the second week, which was awesome. From the
Nice.
clan I was formerly in. Those guys, it's one of the probably the best experiences I had. Is I came home from work. We had the Oryx checkpoint. I came home from work. Those two guys were on with like 3 random squeakers, and I'm like, yeah, I'll help. And like the one kid, his mom came in the room and was like, you gotta get down to fucking dinner now. And she slams the door and we're like, don't you go anywhere. We're like, you're not going anywhere. We ended up like, as soon as we finished the raid, the kid went offline like quick as shit, and it was like so funny. But yeah, it felt great to like that was like, yeah, this was the first time I'd finished a raid, so it like felt extra great for me.
Of
Um
course. I remember my first time taking down Oryx on heroic mode.
Oof.
That was a great night.
Yeah.
Took a while. Many wipes happened, but we did it. And that feeling of accomplishment is just so nice.
Oh man, yeah, especially like when you see everything come up and you see all the names for the bombs come up and you're just like, oh, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen this time.
And then they don't get back to the to the safe spot
Yeah.
and you have to like try and two-man him for his 1%.
But then
Which
you're just like, fuck him, we don't need him.
yeah. Well, we enjoyed this game, but surprisingly, reviewers did too. Metacritic score of 86 for PS4 and 89 for Xbox One. Those are both out of 100. All the reviews are pretty positive. There was one review that was like typical Bungie and like that type of thing, and even they gave it like a 70, which is probably higher than what they gave like the vanilla Destiny. So you
Probably.
could, yeah, even for like the saltier dogs, it was still getting more positive.
Yeah.
IGN for example, gave it a 9 out of 10. They praised it for the improvements to the storyline, the boss mechanics, and they also said it wasn't like you were shooting bullet sponges anymore. All the encounters were like, kind of they were different,
Yep.
as opposed to same old, same old. I think this Game Informer gave it like a 9.5 out of 10. So nice positive reviews. I think the
Yeah.
one that gave it a 70, I don't even know if I can go to that website anymore. So good luck. You guys are good reviewers. Um,
Some people hate on Destiny just because it's Destiny.
yeah, it's the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Sales. Some of the promotion for this. This is the second time they did a live action trailer. It displayed all the new subclasses. It had orcs in the commercial, and it had Black Dog by Led Zeppelin, which I didn't like the choice of song, but I'm kind of a music snob, especially when it comes to Zeppelin. I would have thought Kashmir would have been a better song, but whatever. That's a
Yeah.
very little thing that I always thought Kashmir was played more to the Taken King than Black Dog. 2 days after the release, though, Sony announced that the Taken King broke the record for the most downloaded day one game in PlayStation history. This is in terms of both players and peak online concurrency, which it's pretty good.
Yeah.
They did a good job. Awards. It was nominated for Best Shooter and Best Multiplayer at the 2015 Game Awards. Not
Yeah.
sure what won, and I don't care.
It didn't win either one. It was just nominated.
No, it was just nominated. Yeah. Some of the problems, though, we had the content drought, which after the festival lost, the player base kind of like grew impatient with the amount of time it took Bungie to release any comment, and also during this time there was a lot of like silence from Bungie, especially after SRL came out.
Yep.
So there was a lot of complaints, but this was like kind of like a first world problem. A lot of like the hardcore players and the publications said this was a huge problem, but like most of the casuals were just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're not playing the game for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, there's a lot of shit to get through.
Yeah, there's a ton. So it was definitely, I personally think it was just more of a first world problem. But this one may not be. Microtransactions. We talked about it earlier. This was introduced in the Festival of the Lost. This has been a kind of like a growing concern, but just kind of like one that they put on the back burner until they see something that makes it like pay to play. But you're getting little by little. You get like the packages which come with armor and things like that. People are generally have an uneasy feeling about them, but they're willing to go further as long as you get these microtransactions. If they're going to pay for better content, then I'm all for it. If we get to a point where we stop getting better content, then I might stop playing. Right. Unless they bring in a subscription service, which if you don't want microtransactions, then the next step would be a subscription service.
Pay monthly to play the game. Yeah.
Yep. So,
I'd rather there be microtransactions, and honestly,
that gives me the option. Yeah.
I'm really not all that afraid of what's going to happen with these microtransactions per se. I mean, yeah, you get armor, but it drops at light level 3. So if you want that to be,
still have to.
If you want it to be useful, you still have to play the game to get something to drop at a higher light level that you then infuse into this armor that you're getting for real money. So it's not pay to win. It's not really pay to play because they don't give any specific exclusive weapons or anything like that in the boxes that you can only get. Like the ornaments and stuff now, I mean, you get them out of the boxes, but that just changes the look of the weapon. It doesn't change how it acts or how much damage it does. So unless they start doing shit like that, then I'm fine.
I agree with you. I was just, I think you remember seeing some of the streams when these microtransactions came.
Oh, yeah.
Death to Bungie! They're gonna kill us all!
They just want our money.
Well, everybody.
I mean, they're a business.
I mean, it's a video. It's a video game. Of course they do. I mean,
they can't just make shit and not expect to make money off of it. How the hell are they gonna stay in business? But
exactly.
It is what it is. If you want it, buy it. If you don't. It's not going to affect your gameplay at all in Destiny. So
True. Got any final thoughts?
Any
I think
final
we've
thoughts about Taken King or the
yeah,
events or anything like that? I don't know. We've gone through a lot of information
yeah,
already. I don't think there's much, if anything else, that I could add to this.
yeah. The only thing I can add is if you want to judge this game, you should probably start judging it at Taken King. Um,
Yeah.
that's what this company, or that's what it seems like these developers can do without, having the monkey on your back of saying, hey, we need to release this game in a year or something like that, and we just scrapped everything we worked 2 years on. This is the game. It seems like you can tell this is the game that they wanted to make.
Yeah, and Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy were at the helm of the Taken King.
Hmm.
It did really well. It was a great expansion to the game, added a lot to the player experience, and they're the two basically in charge of Destiny 2's development since that started. So
Yeah.
I think we're in for a really good sequel once September 6th comes around. But yeah, unless you have anything else to add, Drake, I think that will do it for this week's episode.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. So wrapping up part 3 here to this exciting mini series. Um, as always, I am MrBojangles in 1984 on Mixer, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all over the internets. That's where you can find me.
MySpace.
Yeah, I don't have that account active anymore. What about you, Drake? Where can people find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter, Drakedangerson1. Warning: there might be some not so nice tweets there, but also YouTube at Drakedangerson, Twitch Drakedangerson, Food Network Drakedangerson eats vanilla pies.
Nice. Must
Yeah,
be a thrilling series.
Well, you should watch me eat vanilla pies. Uh,
Shit, that's funny.
That's it.
All right. Well, a huge thank you to everybody who may have popped in during the stream. Sorry if I missed anybody saying hello or what have you. Without DC here to run things, had to take on some other responsibilities. But I do appreciate you hanging out live, watching the video back on YouTube, listening to this on Podbean or iTunes, where we upload the audio versions as well. If you haven't already done it from the start of the show, shame on you. But make sure and follow us on Twitter at GCContinuum. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get all the video versions once they go up live after I take my lazy ass to the editing room and cut that up. I'll have it uploaded for you as soon as possible. But lastly, but most importantly, send us your feedback at gamecastcontinuum@gmail.com. Any improvements we could do to the show, if you just want to say, hey guys, you're doing a great job, that would be great.
Also, we're adults, so we can take any criticism.
Yeah,
as long as you don't talk about my tiny hands.
Yeah, don't talk about Drake's tiny hands, but any other criticisms are free and welcome. Because we're just looking to improve the show for you guys, our listeners and viewers. We want to make sure you're having a good time as much as we enjoy doing this as well. But that's it now. That's all the housekeeping out of the way. So thanks again for tuning in each and every week, and we'll see you guys next week for part 4 of GCC Presents From Darkness to Light, The Evolution of Destiny, where we will cover the Rise of Iron. But until then, have a great night, everybody.
Yeah, good luck and good night. Peace out, homies.